Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best.
Adaptable, all capital, label radical yet rational. A tactical approach is palpable if this animal is fallible, but that conclusion is laughable. So with for all detachable from the mandible, you see it now.
All right, everyone, welcome to the 170th episode of the World Blockchain Roundtable. Our guests for today are in order of appearance: William, I am for I am. Let's see here. Okay, Lisa from the Mighty Lair. I was trying to remember what order you guys came on. And
it's that girl's name.
And Greg from Rivet. He showed up right at the last minute, right in. And I actually played the wrong video to start. Didn't mean to play the Dracaria thing. Nothing.
Well, I think it's good
here yet, but either way, it's all good.
That thing's got some thunder to it in the sort of bass range.
Yeah.
I don't usually connect to the show through this set of settings. So
I need to get some 18.
Turned the bass up earlier, and
I need to get some 18-inch speakers. I don't have
Yeah.
it right now, but either way,
thunders, man, that's awesome.
Yes, very good. That is a what is it? It's a Soma Lyra 8. That is the sound behind that. Anyway, okay, let's hear. First up, from last week's episode.
Oh yeah, I want to know how much lot I got. Yes.
Very good, very good. So, okay, first up, let's see here. And I'm trying to figure all my updates. I have in the wrong order here, but either way, every host from last week will receive 266 lot. Every topic contributor from last week will receive 166 lot. And last week's theme was nominated by Dayrox. Is that right?
I think so.
166 lot. These passive ownership tokens, these ownership tokens come with perpetual passive income, free edits, and most importantly, governance votes, so you guys can shake up the show and do whatever you want to with this show. We'll follow it. So the first thing that we have to announce before we get into anything is the vote for September themes. We have a result. And so the month of September, and I think this is in order, will be blockchain used to store history and historical events. I had to put my vote on that, even it's like it's very important.
It was listed twice.
Was it? Are you
Yeah.
serious?
Yeah, it was listed twice.
That's
Yeah.
hilarious.
I
Okay,
was
well,
glad
at least
that you
you
guys
voted on
didn't
the
split
same
your
one.
vote.
It's kind of like when you do a survey, like what was it? The competitors to Tylenol used to always split the survey between extra strength Tylenol and regular Tylenol so they could beat it, right? It's always
Nice.
Anyway, blockchains for whistleblowers came in next at 10%.
That's a cool one.
Yeah, that one's going to be great. I don't
Dude,
think it's
that-
here yet, but there's
I wonder if we can get Boring Sleuth to come.
Imagine unstoppable code running something like WikiLeaks, and you get the power of that. That just send shivers up your spine if you work for the establishment.
I mean, why isn't it already? Anyway,
Well, because somebody's afraid of getting hunted down.
yes.
You have to have Satoshi level anonymity in order to get away with not being retaliated against for creating such a monstrosity.
Yep.
As far as the
We
state's
need a
concerned.
really, really good developer that lives like in the Amazon jungle to do.
yes.
For all we know, they're deploying it tomorrow, and they've just been
Warpaint.
working on it very quietly, wisely.
So even if they did track them down, they aren't going to mess with them, right? That's what needs to happen. Okay, then is it okay? So week 3, is it okay for a blockchain to be centralized? Lisa Mighty Davis has voted on that one. That's a good one. Then week 4 is quality blockchain projects that have failed. I kind of wanted to vote on that one because that would be fun. Because I, just going back and thinking, it's like, oh, that was great project. And where is it now? Jacob
Mhm.
Wayne voted on that. So thank you very much for those. I don't know who proposed them from this list, but we will find out later. And the secondary history one didn't even get a vote. Is crypto in the world becoming centralized? That's a good one too. Didn't make it.
I
Right.
know.
But all good. Good stuff. And this month we have like a fifth week. So we have a bonus week with no topic selected. So we have to do a
Free
a
form
free
or new
form,
vote.
or at the beginning of the show decide how, okay, it's going to be game show format or something. I don't know.
Mhm.
So
Musical guest.
yes. So the theme of this week is can blockchain save jobs lost to AI? 85,000 energy. So a really good one. So do we have anything we want to bring up before we get into this? Anything that's necessary to cover? Or do we go straight to questions?
But
I
by way of
Oh, go ahead. I posted a chart, I thought, from ChatGPT using the AI enemy.
I was going to say,
Those
just
jobs
by way of apology to everybody who is beginning to think that I'm a contrarian who does this on purpose, not by want, but by reflex. But I'm going to again probably get the phrase that will be chiseled on my tombstone someday. I challenge the premise of the question. So
Okay. No.
out of great love for this topic, I can do nothing more. So
Good.
That's
We missed you last week, Greg.
yeah.
I was fun fact about Greg. Due to reasons beyond my current control, I occasionally over sharpen my teeth by the way that I sleep and stress out about everything, right? Which can cause my tongue to get a little cut on it. And sometimes those get infected, and sometimes it puts me down like I was last week when I wasn't
That's
here.
not fun.
So
I when I get tired, I bite my lip or tongue or cheek or something, and it pisses me off so bad every time. It hurts so bad.
Yep.
Anyway, I can only imagine. All right. So questions?
if anyone wants to understand what like a flint knife works like, they need only look in my mouth.
That's rough, man. Okay, let's see here. You go straight down to the questions. I might need to resize this. I don't know. Okay. Lost jobs. Look, this is from Dayrox. Lost jobs due to AI. Who will work if playing a game on blockchain earns better money than working in a factory? If blockchain mass adoption occurs, actually, it's really awesome as a single word. Many employers will lose their workers. I think we'll have faster with losing jobs through AI. How do you balance better earnings through the internet using physical goods? Who wants to do that first?
How do we?
I'll take this one. I don't think that you do anything to balance this situation. I think that what happens right now, if this becomes the case, it will be a temporary case, because all of economics, all of productive, active economics takes place on the margin, right? So the value of working in a virtual space, if it's earning you better money, that's a signal from a free market saying, come here, do this, right? Until that changes, which it will, right? Enough people start doing a thing, then you see the value of that activity fall very quickly, right? Everyone's seen that because of the early rewards one gets for joining like a play to earn game versus the rewards you get if you show up when you're late to the party, right? You can't build yourself up as a whale by being the last person to adopt the thing. And that will reflect itself in what people choose to do with their time. I think that as we roll this in, there is going to be an influx. But I also think there's an overabundance of bullshit jobs in the physical space right now that's supplying that labor. So that's me.
Right on. Who's next?
I'll go next. Law of economics, supply and demand. A worker supply gets short one place, then what happens? The wages are increased to attract new workers to that location and vice versa. So I think the free market of wages and rewards, in his case, where he's talking about earning better money than factory work, playing a game on playing a game on the blockchain can be trendy. and maybe less secure than a regular 9 to 5 job at the factory. Albeit, I would think that playing a game on a blockchain that you can make it, earning a living with is a lot more fun than the redundancy of factory work, right?
Right.
Some people enjoy the redundancy of factory work. It plays into their personality traits. So I kind of think that he is onto something here. It's kind of projecting into the future of people are going to be looking for ways that they can make money and at the same time getting a dopamine hit, right? And
Yeah.
probably less likely to get a dopamine hit, at a factory than you would be playing a game or doing something else, either, blockchain game or non-blockchain game. And I think blockchain game is the best way to create an earning, a stream of income. However, having said that, when everyone else piles in, I think we saw this before. What was that famous game? I'm trying to remember it. And during COVID, there was a lot of people like in the Philippines that lost their jobs, or maybe in the hotels or in some tourist locations, and they jumped into playing this game on their phones to try to supplement their loss.
Blanking on it. It's right. It's right.
I'm blanking on it too. Oh my goodness, where's Sean? Sean would help us with this one.
He's in the chat.
Oh, good. Sean, help us. What's the name of the game that was real popular during COVID? And it was blockchain. You could earn crypto.
You're thinking Axie Infinity?
Yes, that's it.
Thank you.
Well, the problem is everyone cashing out dropped the price of the token, right?
Right. Pushing people away from the game space.
Right.
Well, and new players were prevented from coming in because as soon as that started to get popular, of course, Gary Gensler's coming up with a case for why NFTs might actually somehow be securities, even though they're by their nature fungible.
Right. By the way, I guess he'll get a promotion if Harris is elected. Oh, sorry, that's for later. So anyway, I guess the long story short answer here is I don't know when he's talking about better earnings through internet with producing physical goods. I guess that's factory work or non-factory work is where that would kind of tie into. But sure, mass adoption in a blockchain games or DeFi space or something of that nature will certainly attract new workers if there are new sources of income. It's just kind of like chasing a gold in the California gold rush. That very thing could happen with blockchain. And
right. Well, and games also amplify security, don't they? Like by forcing more volume onto chains, they make the challenge difficulty go up if they're really popular.
Depends on the chain, but yeah, it can also basically, if you remember CryptoKitties, it can destroy the ability of anybody else to use the chain too. Right.
Well, yeah, but it was kind of dumb to that whole thing.
Yeah, when I thought of I submitted this theme and for a vote, and when I was submitting the theme, I didn't even think of Derek's question, about blockchain games.
Yeah, this isn't what I was thinking with the title, but it is a really interesting concept. Yeah. Or really, I still think we're going to have a need for physical items, but maybe I don't know if you guys have seen the blockchain movie that oh gosh, it's escaping me now, but somebody did one, and they were like, in a perfect world, Bitcoin's gonna, of course, they always say just Bitcoin, but is gonna free humanity to create beautiful things, and that we'll have time to create artwork and this and that because we won't have to work. And it's
we
like,
don't have to farm anymore.
But any technology that's come along has done the opposite. It's enslaved us to work all the time. Like as soon as we had computers you can take home and your phone, and now we're always always working.
Yep.
And it's like, like you were joking around about the bot screaming at humans to come clean it up. We're slaves to the AI,
Yep. Yeah, no, and there's the thing too, because I think much to Greg's point, the market will effectively, decide the freer the market is, the better. But it will at least, make it so that, if nobody's producing those food items or those things that you actually need that are physical, they're gonna have to pay more. And and the problem with non-free markets is, and you see this in politics for the past many decades, that the people who are hiring the most expensive workers, typically Silicon Valley as an example, they aren't the only ones, but let's say them, will lobby the government to allow in that case, H-1B visa holders, so that they can depress the salary. It's like, oh, if you don't want to work for this, we have 40 other people who will work for less than that,
Right.
and
at least until that labor supply draws out, and then the prices of it will go up again.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but it's when you have billions of candidates for that, it's
right. Well, and that's an interesting point too. Like, do you guys think that the way that the markets are not free right now mean that disutilities and wastes of capital, wastes of human time and effort, if you see games that way, and in some cases I believe they are, but in some cases I believe they aren't, from my personal point of view. But do you think it's the overregulation or the unfreeness of other market spaces that are preventing this excess capacity to work, this excess capacity for productivity, from being deployed more productively?
Oh yes.
I mean, really, like Axie Infinity might be an artifact representing marginal disutility, right? But they're not the cause of the distortions that are making that disutility possible. They wouldn't be there in a free market system.
Which that goes against the oh gosh, I was looking this up the other day. There's a law about stifling innovation. I believe it's called the Clayton Act, ironically.
Oh God.
Yeah, and about that Congress wrote this law and that you're not supposed to stifle innovation in America and blah blah. You can actually be brought up and have penalties and charges against you for that. So it's actually really interesting if that was ever applied.
Man, well, I don't know about work being a curse, but I think work is something that it's just a natural thing to do. I mean, if you were to say this, then people in let's say people in the Caribbean, where they can go out and pick mangoes and avocados on their trees, they don't need to work, I guess, right?
Well, is needing to provide for your own survival coercion, or is it just biology?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't believe
in the Bible. It says that's God's curse on Adam.
Old Testament is just
I think it's a gift. Honestly, I love work, but that's me.
Yeah, and me too. I work too much. Okay, so all right, let's go next question. Oh, Greg, we lost Greg. He was frozen for a minute.
He was frozen, but we could hear him.
He'll come back. Okay, next question. Anonymous posts. I love these anonymous posts, by the way. This isn't me. There are too many blockchain scams. Shouldn't we trust AI more than blockchain?
What? AI is created by the same people that create blockchain. That doesn't make sense to me.
Some of them. I don't know. I think they're somewhat diametrically opposed in all truth. And this is not an absolute. It's not an absolute.
But we've seen that, that it creates these, it has the hallucinations, that they're preloaded with bias. Like, so why would you trust any of that? You
can define scam too, right?
Yeah, this is just a troll. It's funny. I mean,
no. I think it's a great point, right? I think it's a beautiful thing to touch on right now. After what we were just talking about, is a scam in your estimation a thing where somebody intentionally sets out to defraud, or is it just when a project that you had hope in doesn't succeed, right? Like there are a lot more examples of people who got accused of being scams after a really great idea did not pan out, and that happens in the world of creating some things. You sometimes have a great idea and it just doesn't work.
This does bring up a point though, that if we are in blockchain and we're saying Web3 and all whatever we wanted to say, that this show is governance by the people, right? We don't go to AI and say what should our next 5 episodes be, right? We're asking the people who are participating, and it is a behavior system where human intelligence is employed voluntarily to a goal, right? And that,
Right.
as opposed to AI, where it is centralized, which even if people are trying to decentralize some aspects of it, it is
The
across the
infrastructure is a little
board.
ways off from that. We're not technically there yet.
Well, across the board, even in the cases where they are seeking to do things with privacy, there are various of them that do some interesting. Have some
DuckDuckGo's got a cool
features,
privacy AI
but
thing.
but that's the thing. They're all controlled. I don't know of a single one that you can't say doesn't have a tremendous amount of filtering to avoid
I'm running one.
Various offensive.
I'm running one. Go to Hugging Face. There's a guy who wrote a paper on it right after publishing an example of using the same training mechanism they used to bias it to de-bias it systematically.
Oh, interesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, they did
it mathematically. They created a derivative data set using a set of algorithms that basically picked up on the pattern, specifically filtered for the pattern of manipulation by people, and then just unwound it by retraining it to eliminate the weighting that was added.
Okay, but can I get that on?
I'm running it on my machine right now. It's really cool. You can run it locally.
That's not what I'm talking about. I mean, and of course, it's doable, Greg. The problem is none of the VCs that are putting billions of dollars into this are doing it, right?
Of course not.
That's the point. So
again, not true. Hugging Face is a big platform.
Hey, all of these things are horrible in the world. It's like, yeah, but Joe, but this is perfect, and it's like there are 3 people doing it. It's like, that's not what we're talking about. Right.
But this we're sitting here talking about blockchains, though, right? Like, if anybody's got the technical chops to set up and self-custody their own funds, then they've also got the ability to do this.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, that's the question. Is it, for one thing, all of what you see about AI out there is so controlled and so in the hands of so few people that I don't trust any of it for what's coming up.
So. Fair background here. I've trained in AI. I took some courses and studied how to build it. I could sit down and write you a rudimentary, crappy network right now if I didn't have better things to do. And the reality of it is, it's similar to smart contracts in the way that the code is minimal. It doesn't take much. You don't actually have to have a lot of superpowers or a lot of access to capital in order to build a simple network. Yeah, the compute's expensive. But that's just, that's part of the time it takes. If you buy yourself a couple GPUs like you would need for a high-end gaming machine, you can overcome most of the barriers, right? It may be a matter of effort, but unless they do something dramatic to the internet, they won't really turn off the freedom of that.
Too. And it's cool.
It will never die.
It's cool technology. And it's not like I think, it's going to end the world. I just think it is much ado about not as much as it really is. It is the VCs pumping and pumping and pumping in order to get big valuations before they go public. That's what is happening in AI right now, and that's where all the fear is coming from. I mean,
I literally just ran a model yesterday where I took a flat image and it generated something that I could watch as if it were a 3D, like one of those. Like I put it in my Quest and played like one of those Apple presence-based photos or presence-based videos. I converted a photo into a video, and then converted a video that I made from that photo into a 3D environment I could interact with. I did it in 2 clicks. Like, there is power in this that has not been talked about yet. There's real value in it, I do believe.
Yeah.
Agreed. Can I answer a couple of quick things? Yeah. One is, there are scams in everything. So, and scammers in everything. So it doesn't matter if you attach scam or scammer to blockchain, or scammer to AI, or someone who's developing something in AI. So I think what gets lost is how they're so dissimilar, in that AI tends to be centralized and blockchain can be and decentralized. So they are almost complete opposite in their spectrum when you think of it in those terms. And the decentralization allows for, how can I say it? The values of something being centralized, like AI, is certainly control and manipulation, right? Where if something is decentralized, it's much harder. and so I guess that's kind of how I would approach this question, or answer to that question is I could have I have a big sycamore tree here right next to me, and it's constantly shedding sticks. If I picked them up and scammed everybody and said they were magic wands or something, then should we ban all sycamore trees or whatever this tree is? You know what I mean? So I mean, should we ban or stop all blockchain? Should we ban or stop all AI? No. What we need to do is develop new ways of determining and calling out the scammers, and that's in all industries.
Yeah, well, and with this too, like the problem is the counter to scams, right? Like if you talk about scams as a problem, you talk about gatekeeping, and it's a lot like speech, right? Like we see what happens when you try to pre-censor the marketplace of ideas. And if you do that, what you end up doing ultimately is filtering out some really important speech. Yeah, there were probably some idiots telling you to huff bleach during COVID, right? But for every 10 idiots, there was one person saying, the cure is worse than the disease here, guys. We're about to kill a lot of people. Please stop. And the censorship stopped that, right? Like that's the same thing with productive ideas to me. If you say everybody needs to go through this giant scam filter, there's going to be somebody out there who could deploy something amazing because they can go to work overnight and really focus on code, but for the life of them cannot deal with an administrative process to save their soul, right? Like they've got bad credit or whatever. They got no history or track record in financing. All these sorts of things add up to barriers to entry for people who do great things in an effort to stop fraud, right? So if we focus on fraud control, we have to accept a certain amount of destruction of really great, powerful ideas that won't emerge if we make it too hard to get into a market. So,
yep, and that's why I mean, and if you look at, there are far fewer AI. There are a lot of AI companies, obviously, but compared to the crypto world, there are far fewer notable projects, and every single one of them is controlled by big money and the same crowd, and they're all definitely censoring that AI, and they're all definitely controlling what it can do. So
yep. At the same time, though, 2018 created the most or the largest number of iconic to this day edifice blockchain projects of any period in our history. It was also the period of the greatest number of scams. I don't think that you can separate the two.
Oh, so you say they are scams? There were some scams.
I'm saying that scams are a cost of innovation.
Oh yeah, well, it's a cost too if you let Goldman Sachs run
Right,
everything.
right.
It's like if 80% of the projects are coming in from or have some influence from Goldman Sachs, then yeah, most of them are going to be scams.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
what they did. So
Right.
anyway, all right, cool. Do you have anything, Lisa, on that?
I started off the comments.
Oh, thank you. Sorry.
It's good. It was a good topic.
Good.
Right. That's right. Okay.
Good. Actually, great question. Thank you for that, Anonymous.
And this one I was waiting for. This one I think so can blockchain. This is from I am. Can blockchain opportunities thrive in a recession or depression? So I mean, I haven't. This one I actually wanted to talk about because this one's very interesting to me because I do think that in the coming greater depression, because I think being as it is that all money money flows from the Fed right now, and that's what's driving the wars and everything else for the past many decades, that we're going to see this soon. And the test is it's going to be interesting. I think that it's going to reduce a lot of the noise. So projects that are really doing real stuff are going to shine. And I think there will be huge opportunities, huge if you're paying attention. And not even necessarily for people who are just technical people. I think that the blockchain is going to open up a lot of things when people really need it. All the time when we're in a time of luxury and it's everything is craziness and all the crypto bros are on yachts throwing parties and giving away Lambos and stuff. Isn't the time that you're going to get the real what you can really do with blockchain. Right, it's going to be
a missed PR opportunity.
when we're when we're in a depression and or when there's massive tyranny, which there already is massive tyranny, but it's not quite felt yet by most people because they're still watching their Netflix and eating their McDonald's. When they wake up, crypto's going to be shining, and it might be when they're fighting off their AI overlords too, right? So
there's a tipping point coming with the McDonald's thing too, right? It's not going to be too much longer before a Big Mac with the side of medium fries costs more than most people make in a day.
Yeah, and unless they're in Israel, I mean, if there's a genocide going on, you can get some free Big Macs, but otherwise, yeah, if you're living in the quote unquote free world, you're gonna pay dearly.
Yep. Raise your hand if you've ever spent $50 on 2 people eating at McDonald's through DoorDash.
I've never gotten DoorDash McDonald's, but yeah, I could see that. I could see that.
I don't eat at McDonald's.
Everybody.
A 17-year-old will do that.
I would never.
Yeah,
it's a half mile down the road.
Isn't there something about horse meat or human meat in it? Or
a mile?
Yes.
You're saying that? I don't know.
They say over so many millions served. They're not talking about the people who eat in the hamburger.
Oh, right. One man. Yep.
Yeah.
They're on. They are. In fact, I think there's when we go to memes, I think I have a show of genocide supporters. I think their logo's on the list. So anyway, all right.
Well, Joe, what's your? I mean, what was your answer? Was it a yes or a no, or I guess a maybe?
I think a massive yes, unless I'm totally wrong. Now, I know that I'm going to be right about the depression. The timing, I don't know. And I think, though, that blockchain. And here's the weird thing. We haven't had a depression when there have been things like the internet. So are the service providers going to be reliable during a depression? I don't know. Is there going to be a new deal where there's a modem in every basket? I have no idea. Right? What are they going to do?
I mean,
but
even setting aside the belief in different beliefs in policy, I don't think anybody today can even arguably say there is able quote managerial. There are as able managerial elites alive today as there were back then. We will get a worse system than the first New Deal if anyone here in this age decides to redesign it with the skill we have today.
I would say across the board, you have those shining examples in various industries where you have experts and some very new, amazing tech. But I think most people are definitely less educated. Nobody knows Latin or Greek anymore. Nobody knows history anymore. Therefore, can't figure out where they fit in society anymore. Right. So, or few people, not nobody.
I don't know. They're starting to roll out new, like that movie Occupied is coming out, which is an alternative view of history, World War II, and who's really responsible for all that, what was really going on around that. Some other things like that. And maybe, well, it's always aliens, but yeah. But the depression or the recession, I think, would push like the agorist view, like the agorist above me, where people would be looking for parallel systems because the money was broken, and they will realize when they lose their pensions or their pension is worth nothing, and all of that. The banks get bailed out again, but their house they still have to make the house payment, those kind of things. But I think that could really drive, because people don't do new things until it's painful and they're forced to do it.
Right. And this is why economic interventionism is so distorted, right? Like this is why we won't really ever have anyone feeling like the world is doing its best until we get out of this idea that some of our energy needs to be spent micromanaging other people through administrative law or through company policy or whatever it is. These trust structures are exactly what blockchain replaces. So I don't think it can thrive during a depression, but I think it can break the business cycle distortions that happen.
Old way.
When you say thrive, do you guys mean? And maybe this, I don't take it as number go up for sure. It could be.
Oh, number go up is an artifact of the distorted markets we have now.
The recession, the greater, as you said, recession, I would think would destroy number at all. people will hopefully stop valuing that stuff.
It's going to be in gold. It's going to be how many ounces of gold is your Bitcoin worth?
Right. And
That's
measured in a fixed supply, not as some kind of
Right.
weird percentage of productivity measured by baskets of goods. That's bullshit. Like that is bullshit numbers already. And that's before you add in the
or is it use case of
the
skill
subjective
and
GDP
ability?
components.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, and that's
could
the
it
thing,
be
Blue. Okay.
instead of the gold? Could it be a use case of skill and ability? Because I need somebody to come fix my plumbing, whatever,
Oh, yeah.
Right.
and nobody
It could-
wants those dirty fiat.
It could be the whether it's in hours or days of work, right? I mean, it could be
Yeah.
something
Right.
like that where
Right.
If
There
you go
have
to a
been
lender
systems
because
that
you
in
want
the
to
past-
do something, not because you have to, then we've got a free market.
yeah.
You know, the word scarcity, probably in the last 8 years, I've used it more times than I did, all the years prior combined. So that has that word. And, when you talk about blockchain and currency and this kind of thing, and the word scarcity really has been a great educator and then awakened a lot of people to the concept of scarcity to create value, and the overprinting of fiat money is just the opposite of that. And so when I think of the whole idea of a depression or recession and blockchain, it's a golden opportunity. There have been so many companies that were created during the hardest of times and are still with us today, because they filled a giant need in the hardest of times. And so blockchain can bring honesty and to various systems. And like Lisa said, I couldn't agree with you more, parallel systems, because they'll see that the other systems have failed for whatever reason. Maybe the centralization of it, and the those at the top, the elites, were actually scamming the others, and so people will rise above that and think, you know what? No, I want scarcity, because that's going to dictate true value. Simple law of economics. And I want something that's more transparent, because government has failed us, or we look to government to solve our problems and they weren't transparent. So therefore, I want something that has transparency, and nothing better comes to mind than blockchain. So I agree with you, with all of you, that the opportunity for blockchains to prevail, provide more jobs, provide and create new jobs, is highly possible and probable,
And
the ugliest of times.
And I'll tell you something that I don't ever get a chance to think about anymore. When we were building Dragon Chain at Disney, one of the biggest drivers for us, getting attention and doing stuff, was in applying it to the enterprise. And it took quite a bit. It's very abstract to talk to, like, say, upper management about it, but what we were really looking to do, I was kind of flip the way that an organization budgets and organizes projects, because it's so top down and it is so inefficient, inaccurate.
Right.
Usually, so many projects fail because it's the wrong project, the wrong time, the wrong people, the wrong goals. And what we were looking to do was to make something so that the people who were really building stuff could throw something out there that the other groups could say, holy shit, we could plug that into what we have and improve this. And that group would self-fund, because they would essentially be generating the value ahead of it. And you wouldn't be waiting on a project to finish. It would be connecting all of these independent things together and essentially reorganizing the way that the funding would flow in the org. And there was a whole bunch more than that, but it went all the way down to
Well, I mean,
people being rewarded instead of having to deal with the politics. So
and it's
politics of that, my boss's friend who's higher up, I can just do this thing and it's all transparent that I'm
right.
being rewarded that way.
Well, it speaks to the fact we're even talking about that with them is impressive, and kudos on the people above in that particular instance for not being the usual foil against productive economic activity they are, right? Like scarcity to me has always been more of a measure of human want, which, I mean, raise your hand if you think there's any level of technology and wealth that our species can achieve that will make humans stop wanting more. And there's your understanding of scarcity, right? We will always want more, and and the unfortunate side of risk-based accounting in corporate structures is that you get these managerial types who sit there thinking of risk and conflate, and they just conflate it with threat. And they don't take any time to calculate the economic upside in their minds because they can't, right? There's no way a central planner can understand what they're stymieing by saying no to something they perceive as a threat.
Yep.
So,
right on. Okay, let's go. Next question from I am for I am.
What? Me again?
Combat job. Okay. Question: will number go up attract people to build utility and speculate on blockchain startups as people look for alternative incomes after being displaced by AI? In other words, can a new bull market be created from new opportunities built in the blockchain space, especially those looking for passive income or new income streams? So, Greg, start with this. Let's just go up.
Yeah, and I would say, not necessarily. Okay, so there's two parts to this question, and so I have to sort of take them one at a time. So, will number go up attract people to build utility in blockchain if they're looking for alternative incomes after being displaced by AI? Yes, absolutely. That we've seen that effect work before, right? Number go up introduces a lot of new market participants. There are people who have the ability to build in this space who, believe it or not, haven't even heard anything about it beyond what are in the headlines. Great builders, people who could change the course of human history if you handed them the right opportunity right now. If they just had the inkling to try, and the number go up does draw their attention, which is good. Now it can get in the way, and this is sort of the downside, right? The number go up can also draw the attention of rent seekers, of the parasite class of managers out there, of people who want to get their slice of the pie, which they've forever and always been beholden to the fixed pie fallacy. They see as limited, and now is the time to get in if I want to get a meaty slice of this. Got to exclude others. And that will also happen because of number go up. So the two forces are kind of in equipoise, but the time preference is for people who are informed. So people who are going to build great things won't get here because number go up. They'll get here right at the end of a number go up cycle and resignedly begin working on building the next one.
That's good. All right, Lisa, what do you think?
I think it goes back to use case because I think our dollar is being destroyed, dying. I mean, I think BRICS has 48 nations now, and someone had told me that when it hits 50, they're going to kick in Operation Sandman, which will destroy the U.S. dollar.
Really?
And yeah, and
Scary
so
operation.
We'll see.
Nice deep state call out there. That's a great scandal.
Who knows? But I like to think that we've been through number go up a couple times, and it still is called a scam, magic, internet money, all that kind of stuff. So I think when the use case, when the building part is necessary, not the dollar part, but the building part, because of the other systems failing, like when Wall Street's gone, so many jobs, are gone. All of those kind of things. So I think the use case will drive it more, or that's my hope. Anyway.
Yeah, hopefully. Yep.
Probably the only thing that can do it sustainably, right? Like speculation is not the same thing as throwing money into a thing because it seems to be doing well. Real speculators have signal to add.
Right.
Yeah.
Boy, I sure hope so. I hope that people are attracted either by number go up or investment vehicles, something so that others who have the ability do create utilities in the space for others to either speculate on, others to use, and others to use to improve their lives. And that's really what it is, right? It's solving problems in a different way, a different manner that is more efficient, and will attract more people. And Zach's point here, Legacy Zach, shout out to him, about the scarcity allows us to adapt, create, and innovate. Isn't that true? Because scarcity creates the higher price in the marketplace, and so people are hungry for a cheaper alternative, and that creates that's the creation, the innovation portion to try to drive down price. And so, in this instance, I would my fear is that the normies will just gravitate to AI, and AI will mislead them, kind of like the Pied Piper, leading the, or the sheeple leading the sheeple into untruths. And I'm hoping that blockchain will write that course and attract people looking for more truth-based solutions rather than being deceived and deception of AI centralization. We're seeing AI rewriting history. There you go. Maybe that's an innovative point. Maybe we need more blockchain that is preserving our history, and more people looking at that and looking at ways to make.
That's for September.
The only AI I would ever truly trust would be one that was trained exclusively on on-chain data that was validated on-chain or brought to that chain through some kind of oracle that's been validated through the process of getting oracle data onto a network. But
the same reason you would anyone who understands it wouldn't trust software that isn't open source to do various things.
Then again, though, right? Like, you wouldn't be able to call it intelligence if it wasn't occasionally wrong about its assumptions. Right? That's like the core character of intelligence.
But the difference is whether you think about it. If you compare it to a human that is required, it's a 1984 thing. It's an Orwellian thing where it's the double think, where you have to know that what you believe is incorrect. And yet you're forced to believe it because the government. So this is reality, and you think about that inside of AI. That's what we have. That's what the 2001 was about, where Hal was programmed to do one thing and not allowed to say what he was doing.
Right.
And therefore he killed everybody.
Which is why we can't expect AI. We can never expect AI to absolutely be programmed, right? Like, there are two ways to solve the problem. Was this function called? You can have the function itself return a Boolean of 1 if it was called, right? That'll work every time. Or you can ask the AI to evaluate all of the functions being run on the machine based on a data set that's being fed in real time and predict whether or not this has happened right around when it does. Yes. And you'll get a thing that's wrong a lot, but you'll get something that looks like intelligence in the second case, but not the first, right? Maybe AI is really only capable of being called AI if it's capable of being wrong.
Sean appears.
That was philosophical as hell. I don't even know what the question
is. Weirdly enough, I've discussed this with probably way more than I should have with a lot of people.
And I left this comment up from Zach because scarcity is an interesting thing because on the one hand, it isn't a zero-sum game. There's all this stuff. But on the other hand, an interesting aspect, especially in blockchain and the crypto world, is that scarcity is an amazing tool. That is, if you have unlimited funds, and you can see it, it's even in fiction, that rulers who have too much money end up using it for really creepy, weird stuff because they're bored of all the normal things that we would all use our money for. It's like, they've had every car of every house. Like, then they're going to start buying people and doing really evil, weird stuff, right?
Right. Spoils versus economics is what you're saying.
Scarcity forces you to choose between your choices. That's why, like in Den, you can't. It's not like Reddit where you can just upvote. You can upvote all day long. You never run out of upvotes, right? With Den, there's scarcity, but it's controlled by how much reputation you have, and it is still flexible where you can still do many things. But you have to really decide, hey, I'm gonna put all this energy on that, or spread it across all these things, right?
Right.
And it's
A
useful.
lot of times you don't even really have to think about that. It happens to you on an instinctive level, right? Like you're really passionate about a topic. There you go.
Yep.
Click until you run out of juice. But
Yep.
if you're not, then maybe you save it for something you're good at.
Yep.
I don't
So-
know. I don't know what the question is.
Three-part
What
question,
you guys
Don.
were talking about before I know the question. Just from your conversation, I was going to say something, and Greg hit on it. You can have scarcity, but if nobody gives a crap, there could be some kind of poison. There's only so much of it. Nobody cares. Oh, it's gone. Oh. It's some animal that does nothing but hurt the environment, or whatever. Who cares? It went extinct. But if they care about it, there's some passion or whatever, that's when it has value.
Yeah.
Scarcity.
Utility plus scarcity, or value plus scarcity.
Or any kind of value, not even utility. You know what I mean?
Right.
Just
Human action is always default set to not.
Until now, there's so many uses, but way, way back in the beginning, it was just shiny, and
its utility was it was malleable, that it was all the things.
But it was hard to get. It was rare, and it was a status thing. There's so many things that were just not utility, but more just intrinsic and artistic. And
But did the pretty come because it was so rare? Did we decide that it is pretty because it was so rare?
Well, I think it was also the shiny.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's like
it's shiny. It doesn't rust. That kind of stuff.
There's social utility too, right? After enough people think something's pretty, then it behooves you to say it is also, right?
What you guys were also talking about is just that it's something, being the dumb guy here, it's something everybody gets, everybody understands. I put my toe into Bitcoin way, way in the beginning when it was like under $1 or $1. And I was like, this is the dumbest fucking thing I've ever done. It took me, because I bought my kids some shirts, and my son's like, oh, Bitcoin, it's algorithm, and I was like, just make money on my computer? That's the dumb. How does that work? It's counterfeiting. No, because math. I'm like, yeah, I went to school. No, math is, Nick. No one gives me money for doing stuff in my head. And I was like, I went through all the stuff. I think I had to go to Mount Cox. It was like, it took me like hours to get enough money to buy these $6 shirts. I was like, well, that was fun internet. But it was like when I ordered my first thing on the internet. I bought a CD from Best Buy.
Did you ever buy the alpaca socks? I didn't. I regret that I never bought the alpaca socks.
I regret it too. I want
those lying around.
But
yeah, I did buy some. I bought some loose leaf tea once with Bitcoin. A couple.
Well, that wasn't into Bitcoin. It was just weird. Like, we accept Bitcoin. It's internet money. The internet was neat and cool, so I tried it, and I was like, well, that was terrible. It's a terrible experience. It was way too long. And it was dumb. But then I heard about these kids mowing lawns that were now, it was like a millionaire, from buying Bitcoin. And then I went, and then I looked into it. And the biggest thing I understood was scarcity and desire as a financial advisor. And I'm like, okay, that clicks. This clicks. Where does this rabbit hole go? And then then I was done.
So in financial advisorship training, when they teach you how to do what you do, do they talk on that level? Is that a framing they use? Scarcity and desire? They should.
At Leonard's Business School, what they taught us was how to pass tests, and it was a lot of it is law and ethics.
So this is a Sean insight then. This idea of scarcity and desire.
Well, that's like a basic thing that everyone understands.
It's the elegant framing of it.
And then when you're talking about how things are going the same through history and rulers and all that, the weirdest thing happened to me. My son can't. I don't use cash. I haven't seen cash in
really
8 years, maybe.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, we use plastic. I use stuff. I do everything on the internet. Or it's all crypto, or converting crypto to money.
Even if you did, it wouldn't be well to say that you did, right? Like, cash is anonymous until you say you have it.
Yeah. Well, my son came home, and like if I'm gonna give money to my kids or for like Christmas or whatever, it's like takes me a while, and I have to like go get some. And anyway, my son came home. He's like, "Hey, look, they got these lady quarters with women on them," and he hands it to me, and I was like, "What is this? Is a joke? Because it's smaller than a quarter." But it felt. You remember when you're a kid?
Oh yeah, right.
You're the crappy.
With the Sacagawea dollar, those were awesome.
No, not Sacagawea. Those were awesome because they were gold. I used to pay my kids their allowance when they were little in Sacagawea dollars, so I paid them in gold.
Yeah,
it would tell everyone.
I found out later my own dad did that. That was awesome.
My dad pays me my allowance in gold. Every I go cash my check. Go to the bank.
Those aren't gold, are there? Is there any gold in that? I don't think there's any gold.
They're gold.
The
world could end in my allowance would still be good money.
Right?
$2 the dollars, gold dollars. But he hands me this quarter, and if you remember when you were a kid, I'm older probably than everybody, but at the supermarket or the really crappy toys before there were dollar stores, it was like fake money, and there was a bunch of paper dollars. And there were these plastic coins like on a sheet you break off, and they're plastic shiny. Like this shine would come off and glitter. The quarter felt like that. I was like, this isn't real money. This is, and it just was like, oh my God, these are the Roman times. This really is. They've taken the metal out of the metal money. We've gotten to that point, which they did. Took silver out.
They did a long time ago, right?
It's been like an iron and like slaggy, shitty iron disc cores for a while.
By the way, they are made of manganese brass, giving a distinctive gold color. Though they are called known as the golden dollar. I've never heard them called a golden dollar, but
they're trying to go. But now, and Lisa's probably like, well, maybe they probably do put plastic in. But it's literally the Roman times where they shaving the little bits of money off. And even if we're at that point where the government cares about zinc and those other cheap ass metals that are in our actual real money, which everyone would tell you if you get quarters from before, what is it? At least like 5 quarters that were silver quarters in the 70s are worth.
Yeah, it was in like 60 something.
64.
Or before.
It's like minimum wage.
They were talking about like what minimum wage was 5 quarters. And if you had that silver content now, that would be like $22 or $25 an hour.
Do you guys remember when it got hard to make
minimum
change?
Wage broken. It's our money's broken.
I was living in Indy at the time, and we had coin-op laundry machines, right? I had to get quarters. And because of this, they actually implemented policies to make it hard to get lots of quarters. You all of a sudden had to buy quarters from the gas station rather than break $1. It's weird because this sort of distortion on scarcity, it causes people to do stuff like spend their time, instead of like building a way to get more metals out of the ground, going to the bank, borrowing $10,000 worth of quarters, and then returning those quarters after they've sifted through them, looking for all the ones with this metal content.
You can do that currently with nickels. Every nickel has, oh gosh, I can't remember. Westwood tells me about it. But you can basically make a couple cents on every nickel right now. So you can go rob a bank.
Pennies,
yes.
And that's the thing. Our government has been like,
buy them in bulk on the internet
to make a penny, but we're going to do it because they're historic and it's pennies.
Yeah.
So we went from that to where I had this quarter that I know is completely fake and has plastic. So things are. Like at that moment, I was like, "Oh my God, things are way worse than I thought." It was like validation for all of my neurosis of how terrible things are. It was just holding that.
It's way worse.
It's way worse. Like, oh my God.
I mean, and raise your hand if you can't feel it and you haven't felt it your whole life, right? Like, that's all of us. I bet you everybody listening didn't raise their hand either.
Interesting thing too is that. Most of the I'd have to look back, but most of the big instances in the Roman Empire of devaluation of currency was after the emperors, and we're still in the Republic period, in my opinion, and we've devalued like crazy. So when we get to the to the actual time when we have emperors. It's going to be interesting.
There's a counter case there. We could be living in post-totalitarian society.
January 5th, Kamala Harris wins by 90%. Trump gets nothing. That's not going to be as shocking to me as holding that quarter. That was
Elon did a
that was
poll, and Trump won by 74.3%.
Twitter poll?
The polls are a fat lie right now, man. The ones they're publishing, those are just bullshit, and everybody can probably.
I thought the Musk one was bullshit, but then I really looked at it, and I was like, you know what? 1 million. This is like polls are thousands of people. That poll had like 1.5 million or almost 2 million people.
I have 3 Twitter accounts, Sean. I didn't vote on it though. So
the statistical power of that, if you controlled it, would be way more than any
2 million people. And it was, but like Lucy said, it wasn't close. With that many people, you know what I mean, take part. There's gonna be people that are hate voting, and it was.
Though Twitter does kind of X does kind of self-select for people who are anti-regime.
Yeah,
to a certain degree.
Generally. Okay, next one. And this is from I Am Brian. Statements. Then I didn't understand the structure of this, so maybe I have to explain it. So, no, blockchain cannot save jobs lost to AI. No, blockchain cannot replace all the jobs lost to AI. No, blockchain cannot create more jobs than those lost to AI. Can blockchain create more jobs than the total that will be lost to AI? Can you prove these statements wrong? Man,
roll back up to them statements. I want to read them again.
I know. Well, prove it wrong. Prove it wrong that blockchain is the AI is going to create a massive loss of jobs, and blockchain is going to replace those lost jobs.
I think you can prove the first half of the statement wrong, as best a thing can be proved. I think that the idea that AI is going to cause job loss outside of micro industry specifics, right? Like particular roles will go away, just like we got rid of lamplighters. But when we got rid of lamplighters, electricity was its replacement, right? Like AI is no different, right? The way that it saves you utility, for example. Here's a good case. The other day, Austin calls me up and he says, Greg, I just wrote this amazing script in 5 seconds. You won't believe how much time it's already saving me. He had an AI write him a thing that allows him to SSH into a specific filtered subset of any of our servers by class, as he decided to classify them, and pull up just the pieces he needed to know in a single terminal instance. So it opens all these SSH connections, aggregates them into a single connection, and it did this without him having to take the time or effort to write the code. He just had to think, I wish I had this tool.
I'll tell you, there's
time goes to things that are productive, right? That will lead to hiring.
One of our devs,
eventually.
We use, mean, it's not exclusive, but we use JetBrains IDEs. So if you're a developer, it's an integrated developer environment where it makes things simpler to get around, to find code, and to code it, and it does formatting and all types of stuff. The JetBrains set has pluggable AI that's I don't use it because I don't code enough, unfortunately, to pay for it. But it's interesting watching him when we're pair coding on Dracaria, in fact, that it trains itself to kind of follow his style. And it gets it right about 3/4 of the time. Occasionally, it's like it throws something up that it guesses wrong, but it's pretty cool because it does save time of the things that's like, oh, you type this whole section out again, where it's like, no, you don't. It's just boom, it's there, and it's not cut and paste. It's fit, has a lot of stuff already filled out. It's pretty cool.
It's like saying calculators are going to destroy all the jobs that used to be held by human computers.
Yes.
Like
now, if we can find the things.
Hold on. No, I think this is the thing that everybody misses about AI. This is the thing because you're looking at it the lens of the past, and it's like crypto. It's a whole new thing.
What do we have though?
It's a handicap. We have to look at it with a broader, open mind. AI is going to replace. It's not like the lamplighters and this small thing.
But it is.
It's when it works. It's already, like you said, working. half the time. We'll say
it's going to end scarcity. You guys are saying
Radiology.
No.
Well,
there'll be no more want.
What I'm talking about is creativity. Now, you remember I've said, we'll talk about this in the current events, but Texas was the 13th biggest economy by country. Then California pissed Elon off. We've moved up to 10th. We're in the top 10 countries.
Yeah, that's all because you guys are sacrificing those red heifers, though. I think that's
Yeah,
not.
okay.
Well,
Hold on. Here's my point. That was a huge thing. 3 countries, and we're not even a country. Now, I have found myself like watching and looking and reading AI science fiction. It's pretty cool. It's written pretty well. And when it comes to Hollywood in general, most of the world doesn't like it anymore. There's nothing new.
Hollywood sucks.
It's all bullshit. That Acolyte, the last Star Wars, it had a worse rating than the Christmas special.
Yeah, let's reboot Spider-Man 150.
We shouldn't probably elevate the critique of people who have no fair critique to make because they contribute.
But now I'm saying if AI replaces the arts, you're talking about all the grips, all of the sound.
There's the
studios.
This is what clicked. One of the reasons why California had the biggest economy was Silicon Valley and the arts industry with filmmaking and music. And that's already moving to different places. New York is dying because of those things dying.
Right.
And
but
California, their economy is dying because those things are dying. AI can completely replace those industries.
Just like the design of the horse, right? Like the horse systems of the world, right? There was a need for professional shit shovelers everywhere.
Well,
the fact that there was no longer professional shit shoveling work available after the automobile did not mean that there was nothing to do with those hours.
If you don't look at it in terms of industry, if instead you look at it in terms of creative versus unskilled, right? And I only say unskilled because it's not even necessarily skill, but it is that I don't think the AI will be able to replace the creative element very effectively. There'll be some elements, some parts, and it can influence and it can enhance. But if a movie were produced, then it wouldn't be very hard. That is significantly better than let's say one of the top 10 movies that came out this year, and it involved no people at all. It had creators that worked through AI to produce the entire film. Would that be unethical? No, it would be. If it was a good movie, it's a good movie. Who cares, right? And if it comes from AI, it's great.
And there will always especially be need for unskilled labor, right? Like it's scarce as it is. When you think about how much the cost of food has gone up, that's in part because of the cost of the effort of physically growing it. It always has been, right? It's the most consistent part of the cost. But you can sort of look at it like, sorry, there's something about this that's there's a needle here that's bugging me about this that I can't quite articulate. I'm going to pass the baton, but
okay. I don't know. I think that was a hard one to answer. IM4M is probably my least favorite question you may have ever asked. I'm sorry.
I loved it.
Going back
it was a good question. It's an important question. Important, but it's hard.
I think of it this way. Let's go a little bit more technical. Radiologists, a doctor in radiology, they're going to see, I don't know, in their course of their career, so many slides, of x-rays. And where AI is downloading all of these and then seeing millions and millions of them, and it is being trained to be much more accurate than a doctor, even the best doctor in the industry.
Yep.
So it's more efficient. It doesn't require salary. It works 24/7, 365. The doctor certainly cannot do that. Or doctors. So those jobs are going to be replaced. And they're going
to change significantly. One of the two.
You know what I mean? That's kind of
okay. And I remember my point.
Industry. How big is the movie industry in the GDP in California? I don't know. It's $6 billion or something like that. In Los Angeles County, it's crazy. That's gone.
AI can't influence the physical world without either machines that it's connected to or human beings that it's talking to. Correct, right?
True.
So until we invent Drexler assemblers that are out there universally fabricating anything we can wish of the AI on whim, and we've got no limits on the amount of matter that it's left to manipulate, right? We're not going to run out of jobs for people. It's just going to, in the short term, probably have an impact on some very specific things.
Well, again,
but long term, the pie will grow. Like
Greg,
if you believe it's not going to get better, or get better for people because of AI, then
you can say that
you're sort of a victim of the fixed pie fallacy.
You
can't just say people can change. Look at what happened when all the journalists started to die off, and Learn to Code was trending on Twitter. Remember the outrage, and people wanted people to go to jail. How dare you tell me to change and learn to code?
You were mad about the first part of that statement, not the second part, though. It wasn't code that bugged him. It was being asked to learn.
It's being asked to change and say, oh, no, your job isn't really needed because you've screwed your industry and nobody trusts it. So,
right.
They're going to watch Joe Rogan and Russell Brand and trust them because all of you people were just talking heads and saying whatever.
And the model's right there. If you want to cover a topic not being covered, you better do it that way.
So you need to go learn a new industry.
Right.
And they were the outrage.
And I use chat
Those people who hated our managers,
every day.
man.
I enjoy it. I like having a conversation with my chat GPT on a particular subject and arguing with it or learning something new. I get the Roman, denarii and how it was debased.
I think it's useful. It's even useful very useful, in fact, for second opinion on something, even technical. Mm-hmm. It's like, hey, I'm working on this, and this is what I think, but Google search doesn't work anymore, right? Google search is totally broken, so you can't really find answers from other people. So it is useful to ask it.
Maybe it'll get rid of attorneys. We were
it will. Thank God, right?
Yeah, but it changes contracts. It changes because the language can be searched. We were working on my husband's mother passed. We were working on a probate for her, and we went into attorneys, and they want to charge you $5,000 to $7,000 for setting up this probate. And I'm like, hold on a minute.
And
anybody saying, but it makes mistakes, has not met a real lawyer.
Yeah. Well, and the lawyers all have computer programs that have templates.
Lawyers hallucinate bad law into existence all the time.
Hold on, I want to hear Lisa. Hold on. I hear Lisa. Lawyers.
I was just saying that lawyers they use programs that they go in and it's all just templates, and it's there's a dance of you do this template and this template, and you charge your person hundreds and thousands of dollars each time, and then it's a timeline, there's a calendar involved with the cases, and that it's all just made up to stretch it out and cost a lot more money to those individuals. But the templates are out there, and you can chat GPT and rocket lawyer
and the managing partner takes the largesse for coordinating the activity when the productive work is being done by different people, right? As a young attorney, you get very used to the idea that you're going to be a template monkey for a small slice.
Well,
new attorneys too.
Radically important, and everybody, this is very obvious, and the reason that the censorship matters, and the reason that it is a good thing to know that the various companies that are involved in AI right now are an issue is when you apply it to medical, because we saw what happened in 2019 with the medical industry, right? And we know how much disinformation is there, and we know the rewards. The reason for the disinformation is how many billions that those guys made because the government forced it, right? And when you apply then AI, it's not transparent. If you don't know the training, if you don't know, it's like this pharma company was involved in the training of this AI. Guess what? You're going to be on the drugs. If it's the surgeon's lobby that was guess what? You're going to get your guts cut out, right? It's whatever the hell that they're doing, and if it's not knowingly transparent and
well, and if there's no profit motive, if there's no, see, this is an axe I'd like to grind here real fast. Anybody who's ever said something snarky about something being just for the money making, who says like, oh, but they're greedy. Look at that guy didn't do anything good for the world. We can't be grateful for billionaires. They made all that money. Well, no, actually, the fact that they're making profit is the reason that they're making these calculations on things other than political graft, right? Like you get profit systems or you get peerage and patronage systems, right? So to a certain degree, you're right, Joe, that the idea that people get together and they manage a solution and then they take spoils instead of make money.
I don't know. We should wait till we hit the current events on that. But that was something that I noticed about because there's been like 3 or 4 successful boycotts since the Bud Light thing, but the ones afterwards, it was a much bigger deal to me because they said we don't give a shit about the social credit score anymore, BlackRock or that whole shadow thing. That we don't care about, and that was a bigger deal to me because that's a shift in the corporate way of thinking.
Does it even use anyone else though? That the credit score system we have now is already a social credit score.
Yeah,
and we're complaining about the idea of it being the advent of this thing now, and we've had it since the 20s.
Yeah, I mean, you can look at the literally the credit system itself is a social credit system. If you don't pay your bills on time and don't have a certain amount of debt and do all the things that the bankers want you to do, then you can't borrow money for a house.
Right. The fact it's been captured by frequent statisticians is just insult to injury.
You can't rent a house. You can't. There's so many. I've watched the credit system be like a huge thing or a little thing. Like, I had bad stuff on my credit when I was young, but it was medical stuff. And everyone's like, oh, all your bills are here. All this stuff's good. You just have this hospital thing you haven't paid. Yeah, we don't care about that. We understand that. And it wasn't a big deal. And it went from that to, I can't rent a shitty apartment.
Right. The FICO number has taken precedence over the actual credit history.
I'm like,
right?
What, they look at your credit one. They don't look at your last, landlord or references or no, they don't look at any of that. It's just like, it's supposed to be this number. It's this number. You can't live here.
Right. They use the poor, fair, good, excellent ranges instead of an actual evaluation of the person.
It's odd.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw a number at you. According to motionpictures.org, the movie industry worldwide creates $242 billion in wages annually.
Yeah, look at that.
How much of that will be replaced by AI?
Exactly.
Economic waste gone, right?
Think about this.
New money to hire other people to do other stuff.
Video game industry makes more and makes more than the whole music industry and the whole film industry combined.
Yep.
So that is a big part, going to be a big part of AI. And talking to what you guys were talking about, how with lawyers and technology and learning, that's always been around, like the template thing. When I got divorced, it was a new thing, but you could do it all yourself. You just I got divorced from the
templates made the job more soulless for lawyers too, but it did make us cheaper to access. It really did.
Online was a thing, but it was brand new. But there was an ad in the Thrifty Nickel, which if you remember what that is, like
I remember that.
So I got the Thrifty Nickel for 7-Eleven. It's divorce, $69. You get all the forms. We got all the forms, and turned them in to the court. It was literally like $100 divorce. It was nothing. There was, we had 4 kids. It was easy, but that was like one of the biggest things I think is like what we're looking at now. That was a big deal to me.
Yeah.
Yep. So I Am posted this. He's cavorting with the enemy. He asked ChatGPT about job losses and gains based upon AI actions. And do you see that ChatGPT throws in? Well, it's not just me. It's robotics too. You guys need to be careful about robotics. You probably need to kill the robotic industry. That robotics will lose 20 million jobs or cause the loss of 20 million, but it will create 97 million jobs. Whereas AI, it says, is going to cause 83 million jobs lost. Who knows in what?
Dude,
and
they can't even give us
69
accurate current employment numbers. How can they predict that?
Oh, see,
well, that's the government.
Where is that data? Where is it?
Wait a minute.
If it's using government data, then it's
Wait a
serving
minute.
political agenda
Wait a minute.
already.
Greg is who touts the effectiveness and beauty of AI throughout all the world. But then whenever it talks about
it's full of hallucinations. It's bullshit. You can get it to say bullshit if you ask it to give it to you.
This is the best job created, though, right here. That Marty the robot is 35 grand. It roams around your grocery store and it detects spills, and then it fires an alarm off so that a wage worker could come.
They need a Pepe. They need a Pepe. See, and this to me is like a weird use. You see a lot of distorted uses of technology because of managerialism, right? I think those numbers came from the fact that the managers have assumed that that made the decisions about what numbers to use. Have assumed that their jobs will be necessary everywhere because management is always needed. When in reality, what AI and blockchain really do is destroy management jobs.
That's true.
Those the bullshit jobs of ordering people around and coordinating effort. And those are the things that really end when you combine blockchain and AI. That will create a ton of free capital.
Imagine the world. It's like a utopian dream there, Greg.
Yeah. Well, for every just try to remember.
I was always on the managerial side.
Don't you see this meme is horribly sinister and evil?
The
I think
meme
they should put
itself,
Pepe on
or
the actual device.
The whole thing.
Which
I think it's fiat money on the floor, and he's
calling out how.
Right. This was my point was that if we let the central planners decide what's valuable, we'll get this right. The central planning mindset says we need managers. We should craft the technology so we're still needed. Because if we take ourselves out of the loop, then God forbid, the dogs will lay down with the pigs and humanity will devolve into the mud, right? That's not how it's going to work. People don't really need someone telling them what to do. They need a way to know what to do.
We're running late. That was the last question, by the way.
Can I never mind. Go ahead.
So we are now.
I've been here for a while to fuck shit up. So I'm gonna give me a minute so I can make this even later, and talk a lot of shit. So I watched this show. It's called Resident Alien. It's amazing. Go back to that meme, please.
Oh, it's good. Resident Alien.
Resident Alien. Okay. So there's this lovely couple, wonderful people, the mayor and his wife, and they're having marital problems, which doesn't make sense because they're both like really lovely people. And it's like, remember when we were young, we'd talk on the phone for hours and blah, blah. And they're like, yeah, but this, and his wife's like, yeah, but this is who we are now. We suck. And, I love you, you love me, but everything sucks. And she goes in the kitchen, and then her phone rings, and it's him. And he's like, hey, how you doing, babe? What are you doing? And it's like, it's funny, and then it's dumb. But they talk for 3 hours. He's like, oh, my God, we were talking for 3 hours. He's like, it feels like 5 minutes. And they could almost see each other, right? But it was just that element, and how now if you call, like if I call my kids or I call even friends, they're like, "What?" I was like, "Oh, why didn't you text me?" I was like, "Cause I hadn't talked to you for 3 months."
I talk to a lot of people.
They're like, "Well, you're a fucking psycho, man. No, just text me." It's weird. I mean, a year or so ago, we were short something for recipe. I'm like, go ask the neighbor. And everyone refused. All my kids were like, no, I'm going to do that. Like it was abuse and they could report me. They're like, no. And I'm like, what? Why? And it was weird to me. But that whole sense of community, I mean, that was our grocery store. First off, all the mom and pop grocery stores gone. But that was just, it's one more thing that we're not looking out for each other. Oh, there's a spill in aisle 4. It's like one more thing to detach myself from my own community, to not look for a spill and tell, hey, there's a spill in aisle 4.
This is the thing. No, even managerial person is looking to buy this robot. This is a symptom of our current the way that the venture capital works in the West. That They think, oh, it's AI and it's a robot, so they're all going to buy it. Invest. That's all this is. And they made one and threw it in a grocery store somewhere, and we feel that this is a scam. This is stupid, right? This is the same thing. It's the same thing.
But now Sam's has the ones that actually do clean up, that roam around.
Really?
And clean up the mess. Yeah, they have big robots and they sense you, so they'll stop. But they've mapped the whole thing with GPS. And
can you honestly? What if they're told? What if they're told by the VCs that run shit? Oh, it's going to hurt your credit score to not have one. I mean, there's people who are fucking their company up.
That's not a VC thing.
But no, to win favor of the WEF, the whatever, that evil corporate side, they're screwing their own companies and hurting their own bottom line. Do you think they won't buy one of the dumbass robots?
Right. This is as long as risk-based accounting rules the day and the people that deploy that get their say, then yeah, you're going to get more of those robots. I agree with you.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of
I should say risk-averse accounting.
There's also the robots that, let's see here. Well, this is a good one. Told a woman to go away when she's reporting a crime, then sang a song.
Yeah.
That is so funny.
I hope they arm it with pepper spray.
Oh,
remember when RoboCop shot the guy in the nuts between the woman's legs, and he's like, "You have been part of a sexual assault. Do you wish me to call some mental health professionals?" It was just funny. Yeah, then that was that was perfect.
A few months.
Do you guys think the woke bots out there, the NPCs that are real big fans of that, are going to eventually be targeted by that AI for hate speech when they look at the automation with dismay?
Yep.
A few months ago,
isn't it?
Yep.
A few months ago, I was at a VA hospital, and they had an AI robot that was rolling through the parking lot as additional security guard. And it was hilarious because as everyone was walking out of the VA or walking into the VA, everyone was getting their phone and videotaping it as it was moving through the parking lot because they were so dumbfounded or fascinated or, I can't believe this. I'm going to post this on Facebook or whatever. This is so horrible. Or wow, this is interesting.
You guys think it deterred physical, violent crime? Like, would somebody punch somebody in the face in front of that thing?
I'm looking for it, but I can't find it. There's one where it was one of the robots that delivers all the food, right? And it turns out they found out that it was actually just Filipinos running it. That there was no AI involved. It was just somebody overseas driving it around.
Or Warwick Davis pops out of it, Aha!
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Let's see if I can find the other. I can't find it, but anyway.
No, that it's what's I don't get where AI got. Yeah, exactly.
That dick. Somebody paid a lot of money for that.
Well, what they put it out there in the street for, though?
He's gonna go protest the lack of jobs out there as he's destroying capital.
You know how they pay protesters to go protest? I think they're going to eventually start paying robots to go protest.
Probably. Oh yeah, it's
yes.
going to
be. But see, people have inherent anger towards robots replacing jobs and AI,
right?
and
people got emotional about
not accepted right now by society.
People got really angry about the Jacquard loom too, right? But it was not itself.
Did they really get? I don't think they got angry about that, Greg.
Lud's Rebellion was kind of iconic though, right? Like the idea that we automate things away from manual labor feels shitty to the people who are doing the job. It does. It sucks, actually. It really does. And I feel for that. Unfortunately, like the world needs the ability to produce to go up, and to do it, we have to do some creative destruction.
I was wrong. They were in Colombia. They were in Colombia. That's what it was.
Well, I'll say this. I was going to say. I lost my train of thought.
This one's always important too, and this is the reason that the censorship are given for the censorship we see. That every case so far, they've become racist and homophobic and
Yeah.
other things, and it's an interesting thing, I think, right? But
they were also naively retraining it off of every input it got constantly. Like that was pretty dumb.
oh
Also,
yeah, I don't know.
What do you? I don't know if you guys talked about this the other like what we're doing, and this is real. I know people that are now in trouble. Americans, they can't go to England because of news that they've been hit on Twitter by the UK government. Like,
Yeah.
hey, you posted this.
Yeah.
We're watching you.
I want to try. Have you tried? Who else has tried? I want to see if I'm on the radar at all.
So
Dude, the British regime, man, they're scary now. That could happen here so fast. You guys have
Oh
no
yeah.
idea.
Well, it's basically British. UK, it's the same in Canada. So
All we would need is the same
Canada's
law
right
rewritten
behind.
for
I
our
think it's
context.
two sides of the same coin. Canada was more going after your money, going after your making life hard. But in Britain, they're like, "Oh, we're putting you in jail," and they are. People.
Oh, and releasing violent criminals too, so they can make room for you in jail. They promise you a cell if you say something mean on the internet.
Yeah. So I mean, it's a real. And imagine,
This one.
Imagine a soldier serving your country.
The marooned
And you
white
like-
guys.
you like
This is
some
more
people-
important.
And then you get stationed in Britain, and they're like, "Oh, you're under arrest." I mean, come on.
Right. No, well, it's a damn good thing we didn't extradite Julian Assange and we went with that settlement instead, because had we would have given the British Empire a fucking excuse to extradite people for posting mean memes.
Nice. This one is too good to pass up though. The tale of the marooned lighthouse keeper and the robot butler he built to stave off loneliness. I love it. That's so beautiful. That is why memes exist. Okay, now I'm going to go into our regularly scheduled memes, non-robotic ones.
Yeah,
what do you guys think
what's
about the
happening in the news?
That's one of my favorite conspiracies. Just that whole.
Actually, the
being,
job.
It's real, isn't it?
I'm sorry, you had the wrong word there. It wasn't the Titanic.
Well, yeah, but that's all.
Oh, Olympia.
You have to speak
They
to
fired up the pandemic bot again, and they're using it to try to get people to think Kamala Harris is relevant.
that is a good point.
Speaking of jobs, the jobs reports came out early, were leaked, and came out early, and they've showed that the Harris Biden crew have been skewing the numbers to mislead people by like millions of jobs.
Huge down revision
Yeah,
again.
that's some news.
Yeah.
Also, me and Lisa talked about, like, and I've been saying this for what at least the past 4 years, maybe, that the Democratic versus Democrat, there is no Democrat anymore. It is not the Democrat convention. Everything is. Can you imagine? I thought about this morning. If it was our republic, the party of our republic, if they had, instead of the RNC convention, it was the our republic's party convention. Our republic instead of democratic. You know, it's out the window. 100%. They don't say Democrat anymore.
Yeah, they took the veneer off. Now it's just the establishment uniparty versus the dissenters.
Yeah,
basically all the people who think that power is useful when used to good ends, with good being the same thing as what I want, in the way that they conceive of it, and everybody else who doesn't see it that way is shoved out. Maybe a member of the outer party if they still claim a political party, but there's an inner and outer party in a one-party state.
Also, I wanted to ask you guys something that I noticed this. So there's a war in Ukraine. What's been going on for a while? I don't know if you guys know.
Really? There's the Ukraine. No,
there's this new war. We have 3 of those swords in our house.
Be careful.
So we have 2 Conan swords, actually 2. They're big ones. Anyway,
counterfeiting a master sword is serious business. Ganondorf is gonna take over the world and bring back concentration camps if we don't stop him. Those people are enemies of humanity.
So there's the war in the Middle East that we're being pushed towards with Iran. I didn't know this till this former CIA guy comes up. He's making the rounds, and he was talking about how there's the Sunnis and the Shiites. When it comes to the Muslim stuff, we're friends with the Sunnis, but we're allied with oil-rich nations. He said not all nations in the Middle East are oil-rich nations classified. And Iran is not an oil-rich nation, which I thought that they were. They have oil, but they're not considered oil-rich.
It's because they don't extract it at a high rate. They're trying to get out of the oil business.
Well, no,
they want nuclear.
They just don't have.
They want nuclear power so badly.
But Iran, their biggest thing, do you know what it is? But they are the breadbasket of the Middle East. Their main thing is agriculture. That's where most of the food comes from in the Middle East. It's from.
No wonder we're trying to destroy them.
Exactly. When we talk about which I knew, but most people didn't know, Ukraine has always been like the breadbasket of Europe.
Yep.
So
you can thank that war for the rise in bread prices.
The two biggest wars we're being pushed towards is agriculture. And one of the biggest things in the United States is Gates owns like a ridiculous percentage of all farmland, and China's buying up a bunch of farmland. I think, like they know what's coming. It's going to be about basic food. And if we look back 10 years from now or 20 years from now, everyone will be like, it's so obvious. But it seems to be very obvious to me.
Water and food, right? Those are the things. It's kind of crazy.
Well, we beat water. You can have a water maker for $1,000. You can buy one, and that's not a lot of people buy water makers because not a lot of people have yachts and stuff. But you can have a reverse osmosis good water maker and just pull seawater and have great drinking water for $1,000.
If you can get access to seawater, right? I mean, it's like, that's like Nestle's doing stuff with the water. I've heard other weird conspiracy theories about some of the water control stuff, right? So there's a lot there.
That was actually
I will say this:
like all of the things where they're burning down huge processing plants for various types of food. It's just odd. I don't know.
So fun fact about a leak in the memory hole. If you guys go on Archive and you look at their video archives, so archive.org, everybody should totally spend some time checking this out. You can go down a rabbit hole that is deeper than any other place on the internet there, right? Old video footage, old TV footage, ephemera, videos that last for a second and disappear. Basically anything you've ever remembered from TV that never gets mentioned anymore from your youth. It's there. Stuff you never watched, politics, all of it, right? You can go there and you can see people arguing about things that are no longer talked about. And I think it's highly relevant to the current situation here. Yeah. I highly recommend everybody go back and listen to one of Bill Clinton's State of the Union addresses and tell me why he's any different from Donald Trump.
I thought the same thing. Because it was something about Plato, and I was like, this was 2,000 years ago, and it's not kind of relevant. It's like spot on. This stuff going on today.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do you not see that shit doesn't change? It's like the same old, but it works. That's why it's the same old,
But it works until it doesn't, and then people will look for the parallel.
It's working for or more,
the U.S. dollar has been less than a 100-year experiment. That's not
Plato was literally Donald Trump.
Right. The Fed.
When he talks about tyrants, he's like, "Hey, I know like 3 of my buddies are tyrants."
I'm going to take offense that you've compared. I mean, even though I've been a Trump supporter for a long time until recently, that I would have never compared him to Plato.
Okay, that's
offensive.
But when that was his argument with Hillary. Of course, I know the system's crooked. I'm the biggest dude in the system. It's great. You know what I mean? That was something like everyone. That's what everybody was like. That's some honest shit.
Well, a lot of the reason people like the guy is because he's calling out the fact that his job that he's running for is kind of bullshit.
Used to call out.
Used to. Now he's a little more captured today in the sense of the outward presentation, right? Well, we don't really have a good gauge. What we know is politicians are systemically dishonest because they have to be in order to win in the system that we've set up for them. Right. You fund campaigns based on the idea that someone needs to go get a victory in a popularity contest before we let them run a country. It's not, to me, a really good way to get good governors. It's a pretty good way to get people who are good at winning popularity contests, though. And that is not done by being directly, bluntly honest all the time.
That last meme just proves that birds are not real, by the way.
Oh yeah, birds are not real. That's true.
Oh yeah,
Burbs. Yes. What else? I saw a thing, and I literally did not look a ton into it, but I talked to some people about it. That the Berenstain Bears and Fruit of the Loom.
That was me probably.
Seriously though, the Fruit of the Loom, they said we've never had a cornucopia.
Yeah.
That was false, and people were saying, right, yes, you did. And so then people found it, and it's like, here's an old
Burger King
Why
didn't
would
release
they
chicken
care?
tenders in the 80s either.
Well, here's the
according
thing,
to Burger King,
that it's been like all the way through, and it, that they declared it never existed, and now we know it did. And there was an artist that had
the Mandela
an
effect.
album cover, and so Berenstain Bears also, but the idea, the
Berenstain.
The conclusion is that it's testing to see how far they can lie and see if everybody just believes them. It's like, yeah, this is the craziest thing ever, and it makes total sense. And if you don't think infinite money wouldn't
there's a
try
science
like
around
that,
this,
like we
man.
said before, they get into the most perverse and horrible things when you get bored. It's like, oh, I have infinite money. Like, what are we going to put? It's like, let's see. And the quote from CIA was it. I can't remember who it was, but basically, we won't have succeeded until everyone in America, everything believed by Americans, is a lie, right?
So here's an interesting point in history that most people have forgotten. How many in this room are familiar with probably the work of Pavlov? Ringing the bell, causing the dogs to salivate. Yeah, exactly. The least understood one of his experiments, or at least heard of experiments in the American public, is the one where he accidentally they had a flood, like a pipeline broke in his dog research laboratory, and it was so traumatizing for the dogs caged on the bottom level, who were having to basically tread water to keep breathing until they got them out of there. That when he went back to experimenting on them, they were suddenly really pliable. And he published the results of this, showing that you could use trauma to brainwash dogs.
Do you know the rat experiment? I can't remember the name of it.
And the crazy part about this is our government responded by bringing in Bernays and funding a major U.S. government-backed research project to have the West's answer to the red form of brainwashing. We were really terrified that they were going to figure out a way to brainwash our population out from under us. And or at least some people were. This is the emergence of the study of science and art of persuasion
real
on the
quick,
mass
before we
level.
get too far off,
This is engineered for decades.
This is the same.
Guys.
There are some rat
experiments. Pull out of their butts. You can go.
This is one where they would let put these rats in a place where they had to tread water for a long time, and they would wait until the last minute, pull them out. Then they would put them back in, and the ones they didn't pull out would give up and drown pretty quickly. The ones they pulled out, and then they would put them back in, would go for tremendous period of time, so
60 hours.
60 hours that they would tread because they expected to get lifted out again. And it's a weird
they had hope
psychology thing. Yeah, it's evil, scary
Sounds like
stuff.
the
What they
American
found, though,
people.
Just like Rat Utopia, that
Yes.
psychology experiment.
Yes.
Boy,
Yeah, that's the one you're talking
that's
about.
us.
Yeah.
That-
Us. Yeah. It's exactly right.
You
It's
look
us.
at if you look at 9/11 and what that did
there's a little
for military, recruitment. It was a national trauma, and even it went international. There's like so many people like I saw that happen in America, and that's like the shining city on the hill. Here, me sitting here in Britain, me sitting here in Canada, and that made me join the military.
It's a blood sacrifice. They have to trick us to go off and die so that they can get whatever rewards they want from their gods. That's what it is.
That's AI, right? Generated.
I don't know. It's art imitates life. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know.
Well, one would hope, but maybe not. Maybe that's a ritual none of us have heard of.
Also, there's that Stalin picture.
Hands look
That's
real.
not AI, and it looks damn real. That looks damn good.
Yeah, because the hands look real. AI can't get the hands right.
Well, that could just be good photoshopping.
That's not true with the latest models.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well,
I'm very disappointed.
Joe, I got to send you something to put up.
Yes, cycle.
Memes are working against Israel. I will say that.
Well,
People
so are thousands
turning.
of dead babies on Twitter working against Israel. I mean,
Yeah.
memes aren't even required when they're actually committing a genocide. So,
You know, the one before this. Can you go back? Because I just forgot my train of thought. Show me the meme.
for sure. Let me see here. Let me see this one. That one.
Yes.
Yes.
I felt like I was in a movie. I felt like I was dreaming, watching the DNC and Hillary, and everyone chanting "Lock him up" versus lock her. It's just.
By the way, that was so popular. Did he lock her up? What did he do?
No, that was to me. That was the biggest. That was a quarter moment. It was the election.
A lot of people believe that he was arrested in 2016.
Everyone was ready. He's the man. And on his election night, he said, "I called Hillary, and she's a great lady, and she ran a great campaign." It's like all of it's theater. It's all bullshit.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm playing the game because everyone believed. Oh, he's going to do something. He's going to finally expose the Theo Vaughn and other people.
And that's why they've thrown up here. Everything is getting so hot now. So many people are realizing that it's all a fucking game that we don't have a part in. That they put him back up and they're going to put him into power so that we will. Oh, okay. It's like it's the release valve. So everybody kind of calms down. Okay, we got Trump in, and I don't know that it's going to work. And in fact, I'm hoping that it doesn't work. I want to accelerate this downfall.
Speaking of number 4, I need to say something that I don't think you guys know about, and it's a really big deal. We've talked about Texas and how it was a really huge thing. I said it was a really huge thing when we went against the federal government, and how I said that they're building their military bases, Texas military bases, not for.
I don't know.
Not for National Guard, not for any kind of other soldier. And they're real military bases that I grew up on. They have medical, not just medical, but like psychiatrists. They have movie theaters.
I agree. They're small though, but it is happening. Yes, Sean.
Okay.
So movie theaters.
Yeah, movie theaters. It's a real.
So they can make sure that they get it plugged into their brains. Like, here, you watch this.
No, it's like you can go watch, whatever the new Marvel movie is. So listen. I said, can you imagine if Texas was its own country when we're 13, blah, 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 if we could make our own treaties with Mexico, make our own trade deals, it would be amazing.
They already are. They're supposedly in talks with BRICS.
Wow.
No. This week, Abbott signed a treaty with, I'm not going to, it's a Mexican word, but with Mexico. Nothing to do with the United States, nothing to do with federal. It's completely just Texas with trade and security, with our forces, our military forces, police and military forces working directly with Mexican military forces. That was made with nothing to do with the federal government, and it's not the biggest story that there is. And I don't even know if you guys know that. They had a press hearing, they signed it, they did the thing where they show their signatures.
When something comes of it,
going on, they've been working on it since October. They've been doing and then the bombshell dropped because the governor of this Mexican state said, we're actually going to be opening a and he stopped and said, "An office, it's an embassy, an office in Austin to work directly with the with the Texas government, and so we have people on the ground here that can. They're opening separate.
So they're sending in the CIA, is what you're saying?
No,
Sean. I get your point, Sean. I totally do. And being a fellow Texan, to be honest with you, I'm surprised that more Texans aren't lined up at the border with their own Second Amendment, apparatuses and tools.
That's because they're
protecting Texas. And we have to remember that Abbott is a fucking weffer. He, I don't trust him as far as I can throw him, nor can I trust the lieutenant governor. And that lieutenant governor is actually where the power resides in Texas. So unfortunately, yes, a treaty was taken place. They negotiated. It was signed in, between Texas and Mexico. Countries do this with states for trade, but you know what? To be honest with you, the border is still porous, and we Texans, including I will say I myself, haven't taken up an arm and walked down to the border and secured my little plot, to protect Texas. And to hell with the rest of the country. Unfortunately, it hasn't gone anywhere, and it probably isn't. And until it all I just there's a gentleman by the name of Jan, and I think I mentioned it last week. I really encourage people to go look at his interview with Doug Casey on his channel. He travels the world and he sees how things are happening. And we just like the word, if Google Trends, if we could go back 20 years and searched scarcity, or if we could go back 20 years and search, the CW, I don't think I should say that on YouTube, but the big CW, you know what I'm talking about, where like
that television station with like a lot of YA programming.
Yeah. Anyway, that word is really getting popular. And who's to say what's going to happen in November when 50% of this country doesn't agree with the results? When I went to bed, in 2020, I went to bed thinking Trump had won, and I woke up shocked that Trump hadn't won. So, and I didn't vote because I don't believe my vote is counted, nor is it tracked, nor is it traced, right. And nor can I prove the outcome of the vote.
You're far more likely to die in a car accident than your vote is to matter.
We have 8 minutes left, so we're going to close out.
The polls,
thank you, everybody, for joining. This was a good show. It was awesome. So let's go down the list and see, William, what's going on this week? What are you doing?
First and foremost, I want to thank all those that are watching and listening. We're going to watch and going to listen. And I want to thank those that are sharing this. So I thank those in advance for those that are going to click on the thumbs up button. Thanks, Joe, for creating this whole podcast and this whole thing that is amazing. And thanks to Den Social that can actually put up the ability to create themes. I appreciate all of that. So last but not least, check out Den.social. Go to the Mighty Layer. Lisa and I did a show this past Monday. It was fun. It was dark a little bit. And last but not least, I guess number 5 would be Xano is got my attention. Not shilling it. I just think privacy tokens could be an interesting thing.
Very good. Very good. Lisa.
Thank you to everybody. Like I am said, that was brilliant. We do need to really thank the community that participates, especially the people on Den.social that list these great questions that give us an opportunity to have a great conversation. I do want to mention something that I did not mention that he was a part of, and I would recommend everyone go watch it on Aaron R. Day's Twitter, or I don't know if it was on YouTube as well. But they did a great show talking about, the risk of CBDC and the importance of privacy coins and alternatives. And it was really, really interesting and educational. Sean and I did a show this week. He was back full force and had great information. We had a great history lesson. I'd love for people to watch that. The first half's on my channel, the second half's on Sean's. And it was really great. So just a great week all the way around.
Excellent. Greg.
Well, I'm gonna express my gratitude towards our audience and our illustrious community by tasking them with something. Under the post in the World Blockchain Roundtable lair for this episode, I posted a link to a YouTube video where I cryptically referenced a comment I planned to make at the end. My challenge to you is, and my appreciation for you, I'm sharing this with you. Go watch that video. Or listen to it rather. It's it deconstructs managerialism in a way that leaves no sacred cow unflummoxed. So go check that out. You will, if you're like me, you'll walk away from it with a profound sense of purpose in the times we're facing now. And I think that's incredibly valuable. And I hope that it helps you as much as it helped me.
Excellent.
I do like a good flummoxing.
Sean, you haven't said anything yet, right?
No.
I lost the ordering because I should have said.
I just confused you because I hadn't said anything.
Yes.
Out of character. Me and Lisa had a good show. It was fun. Check that out. That's about it. I've been out of commission for a while. Still trying to get back into commission. But missed you guys.
You too.
I Wednesday nights I stay up super late, so it's tough for me to get up in the morning. And then I woke up and I was like, oh, I got it. And then I have like 7 alarms. And it was like 10:02, and I was like, oh man. And I was like, I can still make it. And then I'll just listen. And then I am just like, where's Sean? He could answer that. I was like, all right, let's go.
Yeah.
So,
yep.
Sorry I was late, but it was good hanging out with you guys.
Yep.
Likewise, man.
Always is. For me, I'm still working on Dracaria, trying to get that out, trying to get everything, all the cats herded, and collecting memes. And follow me on X and follow me on Den. And
having interviews with Sean.
Yes, interviews with Sean. When is that?
Shut up. You're the one that keeps putting it off.
I don't think I've been invited for a while.
Joe, is the Dracaria official account on X still running the competition?
Yes. In fact, I think there are 2 contests right now for 5 total gateway keys. One of them is, I think, the regular follow and retweet, bring some people in. But the other one is, and I think we ran it for a full month, I believe. That is to propose, and we're going to have probably accurate Twitter polls to select mottos for each of the elemental dragon houses, right? So what's the fire motto, right? What's the so, anyway? So get in there and do that. We the first week we didn't have as much.
Those are proposals on Dracaria Lair in Den.social?
It is because Dracaria Lair is still private until we open it up because it has pictures of the dragons that we don't want people to see yet.
So where do people go to make those proposals?
Dracaria World on X.
Okay.
It's at Dracaria World, no spaces or punctuation, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So go there, do that. It's cool. And otherwise, thanks for joining. This was awesome. And I need to pick something to roll out with. What should it be? Any suggestions? All right, here we go.
Smash the likes thing.
America's not the government, people. The America is you. It is the Grand fucking Canyon, the Rocky Mountains, the deserts of the Southwest, the Pacific fucking Ocean, the Atlantic fucking Ocean. It is the grandest continent. And what the fuck have you people done? You have turned yourself into sheep, every goddamn one of you.